At one point in American history, the Great Plains were not empty. They moved. A living, rolling sea of bison stretching farther than the eye could see. 30, maybe 60 million of them. Enough hooves to make the ground sound like thunder. For the indigenous peoples of the plains, the Lakota, Cheyenne, Comanche, Kiowa, Blackfoot, and many others, this was more than wildlife. This was life itself. The buffalo gave everything: food for the winter, hides for clothing and shelter, bones for tools, even spiritual meaning, ceremonies, stories, identity. Their lives and the lives of the buffalo were interwoven, so tightly that you could not separate one without wounding the other. And someone realized that. In the late 1800s, as the United States pushed westward, treaties were broken, land was seized, and the government faced resistance. Not just military resistance, cultural resistance. People defending their home, their freedom, their way of life. Washington officials understood something chilling. If you want to break people, don't attack the people. Destroy what they depend on. So a plan was formed quietly, not written in a law, but spoken in orders, in funding decisions, and in policy memos. Kill the buffalo, break the nations. Suddenly, hunting bison became a national obsession. Railroad companies advertised hunting from the train. Passengers fired rifles out the window for sport. Sharpshooters were paid by the railroad, the military, and leather companies. Carcasses were left to rot across the plains, tens of thousands at a time. By the 1880s, the land that once thundered was silent. From tens of millions, the number of bison fell to fewer than 1,000. In 1889, you could count the survivors easier than counting the people in a small town. And when the buffalo herd starved, so did the indigenous families who depended on them. This wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. The United States forced many nations onto reservations. Land far smaller, often unfarmable, controlled by the federal government. The people who once followed the great herds across open sky were now made dependent on government ration lines. This was not just ecological destruction, it was cultural warfare. But the story doesn't end there. Because the buffalo were not the only ones who survived. Indigenous communities, despite forced assimilation, boarding schools, broken treaties, and generations of violence, held on. They held on to memories, to stories, and to their identities. And today, something extraordinary is happening. Across tribal nations, from Montana to Oklahoma to South Dakota, herds are being brought home, not by corporations, nor by the government, but by the descendants of the people who once walked with them. Tribal conservation programs are restoring bison to ancestral lands. Ceremonies are being revived. Children are learning their languages alongside the story of the buffalo. The return of the buffalo isn't just ecological healing. It's cultural, spiritual, and generational restoration. A nation that was almost destroyed is rebuilding itself. The land remembers. The people remember. And the buffalo remembers too. This is not just history. This is a comeback.